Dr. Geeta, I think she needs a proper repartee from you. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. Thanks, Dr. Namrata, for that excellent talk. And I shall. Okay, so let me begin by specifically mentioning that the topic for the debate is grade 5 chemical injury, and I'm going to be speaking about the role of Allosled. So, as today's opposition to the use of only amniotic membrane in severe grade injuries, and for proposing my argument for the use of Allosled, I have structured my case based on available evidence in literature for both. We all agree here, and please note the point, Dr. Namrata, here, that we all agree here on the grade of injury that we are specifically referring to, and we're talking about grade 5 and grade 6 injuries. These are the terminologies that I will be adhering to, the yardsticks of success used in most literature to measure the outcomes, which I shall present in this format regarding the conclusions of the various studies that I'm going to be quoting here in my support. We all have no doubt regarding the beneficial role of amniotic membrane in moderate grade injuries, and the point of debate here is about severe grade injuries. Rewind back by 2 decades, 20 years. I repeat, 20 years. Dr. Dua ushers in this hallmark publication clearly titled so, concluding that amniotic membrane does not work in severe chemical injuries. From this observation stemmed the new classification, the Dua's classification, which we all currently use in practice, with the paper lucidly putting forth 2 points. One, get any form of epithelium to cover the cornea post-injury ASAP, especially when you're dealing with grade 5 and grade 6 injuries. Two, amniotic membrane is only a membrane, Dr. Namrata, and will not be able to do much if there are no residual cells on the ocular surface. Read in between the lines, when there are no cells, you provide cells. 10 years later, Dr. Dua published the Cochrane Database Systematic Review comparing amniotic membrane for moderate versus severe chemical injuries and concluded that it is not sufficient when you're dealing with severe chemical injuries. Subsequent 3 RCTs from Dr. Namrata's group revealed the same outcome, that amniotic membrane does not work or has very limited role in severe chemical injuries. As did the RCT comparing UCS and AMT, showing neither to be superior but both to be better than conventional medical therapy, though outcomes were not separated based on the grade of injury of the total of 18 eyes which underwent amniotic. 14 are of the grade that we are not even talking about here today. We didn't want to be left behind, so we looked at our data of amniotic membrane in severe injuries and found that the results, like everybody else had published, were not great in any of the yardsticks with just amniotic membrane, which iterated that something additional need to be provided over the amniotic, and this would need to be cells. All studies were repeatedly comparing 1 and 2. I mean, so many that I have quoted so far, but just comparing 1 and 2, reconfirming and reaffirming the same outcome, not providing anything additional. So we decided to go a step beyond what was already being shown by these several studies and add cells. Now, these cells could be conjunctival, they could be mucosal, or they could be allo cells. And having tried all of these, we zeroed in on the use of allo cells based on our learning experience and published our data showing highly shortened time to epithelialization in severe grade injuries. Few of our grade 5 and grade 6 injuries that have done very well with Allosled, followed by Autosled. Another of our bilateral acute chemical injury that underwent Allosled in the acute stage. This was further followed in 2018 by another RCT, which once again concluded that amniotic membrane does not accelerate epithelialization in patients with severe chemical injuries. And this is the latest one in 2021, reaffirming the limited role of amniotic membrane in severe chemical injuries, just the use of amniotic membrane. Do we still, 20 years later, need any more studies to tell us that amniotic membrane does not work by itself in severe grade injuries? It definitely has its benefits, but these eyes need something more. As for the second part, our proposal in favor of AlloSlet, we strongly believe in the addition of an external source of cells. You could choose your source. We would prefer to leave out AutoSlet from the list. We continue to be satisfied with our outcomes with AlloSlet in these eyes with severe grade injuries. As feedback, we received unsubstantiated negative advocacy against any form of SLET, including especially AlloSLET that we are alluding to in the acute stage in a recent review article. In the retrospective comparative study, I mean, we will definitely not do a prospective study to compare AlloSLET versus amniotic after having seen the benefits of AlloSLET in the acute stage. And in our subsequent retrospective comparative study between AlloSLET and amniotic, the results showed a positive outcome significantly in favor of AlloSLET across all yardsticks, may it be the mean time to epithelialization, the need for repeat procedures, the stromal MELS, the statistically reduced incidence of symblepharon, the lesser severity of limbal stem cell deficiency, the less corneal scarring. I mean, in every area, the AlloSLET scored much better than the amniotic membrane alone. And it is up to one's choice to choose our means to our outcomes in the light of available literature that uses a simple technique and basic post-operative care, wherein epithelial healing occurred 9 times faster with AlloSLET than with amniotic membrane grafting, with the odds of complete epithelial healing occurring at 30 days in the AlloSLET group being 6 times more than in just the amniotic membrane group. To sum up, AlloSLET works in severe chemical injuries where amniotic membrane alone does not. It is one form of providing a source of cells in these eyes. AlloSLET is not performed to prevent the need for a subsequent AutoSLET. In fact, it creates faster epithelialization and reduces the various complications that you would see in these eyes otherwise. AlloSLET is also not performed with the aim of long-term survival that would require immunosuppression unless bilateral. It is basically performed as a procedure that helps tide over the acute phase of severe grade chemical injuries with reduced occurrence of sequelae and complications, thus improving the long-term outcomes in these eyes. And of course, the appropriate coverage, assessment, and management of all the I's and E's in chemical injuries cannot be overemphasized. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Before Dr. Sayan Basu, that was the wonderful talk of both of you, had me quite amazed and stunned. Before Dr. Sayan Basu takes over, I'm going to ask a basic question like a general ophthalmologist. One to Dr. Namrata. In such an inflamed eye, if the first AMG doesn't work, would you consider a repeat AMG? Would you actually consider using SLET with AMG in such an inflamed eye, or would you want it to quieten down like Dr. Geeta here says, and then later contemplate putting SLET? Is one question to you. And one question to Dr. Geeta is, what is the immunosuppressive of choice which you would use for an AlloSLET in these grade of injuries?
So,
Dr. Namrata?
I think SLET always has to be done when the eye is not hot. It has to be done in an uninflamed eye. You cannot do it in an inflamed eye. Point number one is this. And amniotic membrane transplantation, the aim as soon as the patient comes in acute phase is epithelialization. That is the aim. So if one AMG does not help in epithelialization, you can always repeat it. But again, SLET is something which we would all like to wait and then do it, because SLET is a very precious procedure. You are either using, most of the times if it is unilateral, you're using the fellow eye, and you can't be doing that again and again and again. So you do it only when you are absolutely sure, that the eye is uninflamed and it is not hot. So I would always do slit at a later date when the eye, becomes white.
And Dr. Geeta?
You can give cord serum, you can give autologous serum if you can't have access to cord serum. You can do a repeat AMG, because the idea is just, surface stabilization, promotion of epithelium is the idea, epithelialization is the idea in the acute phase.
Uh,
One
yes.
of the causes
And
that
another
leads.
thing is, Geeta was saying about the yellow slide. Now, if you see even Geeta, the retrospective analysis that you've done, the time periods are different for both the groups. AMG alone you did in the first 5 years, and then last 5 years you did alloslet. So I don't know how much the groups are going to be that way comparative. Even if you're doing, I mean, if it is done in the same time period, or if you do uh, ethically, you are saying in your this thing that it is not required, and you don't require a RCT to do it. But of course, if you do a RCT, I think that would really prove whether alloslet is required or not in the acute stage. I don't know about the other groups whether they are doing alloslet in the acute stage or not, but I did not find any publication from any of those groups. And maybe I think uh, uh, one randomized control study can be done to see, whether it's really that helpful or not.
See, the only reason why I say that randomization is probably not appropriate here is because all of you, especially you, have already shown that amniotic membrane alone does not really work in the severe grade injuries, just like what I showed in the several literature that I quoted. Amniotic membrane is something that we use along with the alloslet. Every beneficial property of the amniotic membrane in whitening the eye is also being given to the eye in addition to the cells that you're providing. One of the factors which causes continued inflammation on the surface is lack of epithelium. The minute you have an epithelialized surface, which is accelerated by providing an external source of cells, you will be surprised to see the drastic decrease in the amount of inflammation on the ocular surface. And you are placing these cells, you're not taking it from the other eye. It's not an autoslet, so it's not a precious tissue. You can use more amount of cells. It's being placed on an avascular cornea, where you are not really worried about rejection, because at that point in time you're placing it on an avascular cornea, so you really don't need to immunosuppress these eyes. And once you have an epithelialization of the cornea, your biggest worry of ending up with a central corneal melt or a scarring, which occurs because of a persistent epithelial defect in these eyes, is taken care of. In fact, you also see decreased incidence of symplepharon in these eyes once you have an epithelialized cornea. And subsequently, over a period of time, probably there would also be a role of these cells and the faster epithelialization in saving the residual limbal cells, if any, because your inflammation drastically comes down once your surface is epithelialized. That's our point, and that's the reason why we believe that alloslet works. You're not compromising the other eye. You're using a external source of cells, providing a corneal phenotype on the surface closest to what you can achieve, and save the underlying cornea and prevent the need for a subsequent keratoplasty, if at all.
No, I don't. I will not agree that it may prevent the need of a subsequent keratoplasty. But yes, why not a RCT? Then I think one should do a RCT and see. I remember very well in acute SJS also people used to say, why do a RCT? You don't need to do it. But when we did do a RCT and we did publish in ophthalmology, the results were starking. So I think the next step forward would be that we do, any of us or all of us or whatever maybe the modality or the strategy, but do a RCT and see that what is the difference between the two groups.
The role of
Because see, what you are comparing, what the literature also
you should
compares
respond
is
to
a
some other
heterogeneous group
point.
of grade 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not that clear cut.
The homogeneity of the groups was established in the two groups, though they were in two time frames with respect to the time, the age, the median time, the time to presentation, as well as the
No,
grades of
yeah,
injury.
we've all heard that. We've all heard that. But what I'm saying is the way forward would be that maybe do a RCT to see whether it is, if it
Even
yeah.
even when all your studies have already shown that amniotic membrane does
No,
not
see, our groups were see, you did not read.
great.
Our groups were heterogeneous. Even where we've never done grade severe chemical injury. We've never done that group alone. We've always, done it in grades, and it has been grade 3, 4, 5 in one study. In the other study, it was grade 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first ones. Then we realized we shouldn't do it in grade 2. So we moved on to grade 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. Then in the last study, we did 4, 5, 6, where we showed, that AMT was equal to, was better than medical therapy, but cod serum was still better. So even for our studies, the way we've done the studies, it has evolved like that, because the very first study, we never realized that for mild, probably you don't have to do it. Mild, you don't have to do it. You just have to do it. And we used Roper Hall classification in that. The subsequent studies, we started using Dua's classification. So the very first study was Roper Hall. So that's why I'm saying, if you look at the literature also, there's so much of heterogeneity in the way the cases are selected, in the severity of the cases. So it is very difficult to, even do a Cochrane review for such kind of things.
This is such a lively debate that I hate to really intervene, but I think a couple of points just to summarize. I think I want to thank both speakers for making excellent points. I think one of the most important things, I think Dr. Namrata said that, and I think I agree, is that the heterogeneity, when even if you use Dua's classification and you're talking about grade 5, grade 6, Dua's classification does not really talk about limbal ischemia. And I think ischemia is a very, very important factor. I think unless we have an objective way of quantifying ischemia in grade 5, 6 burns, and that is taken into account, while I absolutely agree with the point that obviously if there's a controversy, if there's something that we don't have consensus on, the best way, I'm sure that both techniques are working in certain scenarios. And I'm sure that Allosled also has a role in addition to amniotic membrane grafting in acute burns. But we just have to figure out what is the specific scenario in which it is required. I don't think that it's an all or none, that in every case or every case of even grade 5, grade 6, Allosled is required. And I agree with Dr. Geeta that in certain cases of grade 5, grade 6, just amniotic membrane, even with a tarsorrhaphy, and very conservative or aggressive approach, even with tenonplasty, etc., does not really address it completely. So an RCT definitely is required. There's no doubt about that. But I think when designing that RCT, that heterogeneity needs to be kept in mind, especially with relation to limbal ischemia, because we know that the clinical grading of limbal ischemia is very unreliable. So something like an OCT angiography, which can, or some other way of quantifying ischemia is very important, so that we don't mix up these cases of where you have a grade 6 with one quadrant of ischemia, and you have a grade 6 with all 4 quadrants of ischemia. They're two very different eyes and behave very differently. So I think we can agree to disagree and say that both amniotic membrane grafting alone and Allosled are obviously both very important in the management of acute burns. But I think that the specific indications where Allosled will give that additional benefit over AMT, that needs to be figured out. And I think we have to find a way in which we can quantify or grade our burns better. I think Dua's classification also leaves a little bit to be desired. So if I can have the permission of both speakers, then we will leave it at that and move on.
Surely, Simon. Surely.
Yeah.
Surely, I think it is well said. We should do a RCT to see what is working, what is not. And Dua's classification needs to be reclassified, because limbal ischemia, which was there in Roper Hall, is not there with Dua.
Yes, I agree. That's a major limitation. But I think that limbal ischemia also, we need to have the best way of objectively quantifying that. I think OCT angiography still, that's a good measure, but it still needs a little bit of work. If we have that, then I think we will be able to move ahead.